Today is September 16th. That's when the Fed, which Federal Reserve System, say they're going to decrease the interest rate. Is that going to happen? We'll sure see. But let's talk a little history. Why the Federal Reserve Systems existing and when do they build? So in the 1776, July 4th, Declaration of the Independence signed. That's why we have our country as a United States, and there's 50 of us. That's why we have 50 stars on our flag. So 15 years later, because of World War I, they realized, you know what, we need one person to be in between all the banks and united them. That's when the first Bank of the United States was built in Philadelphia in 1791. And guess who is ahead of it? Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury. So 45 years later, the second Bank of the United States was built because of World War II. They needed second time for someone to lead ahead of everybody, and that's why it was built. So either the first Bank of the United States or the second Bank of the United States, they have passed by the Congress and say, let's keep it for 20 years. 20 years later, let's vote again. See if they needed to be existing. So I guess in that time, people think, we don't need it. So the first Bank of the United States and the second Bank of the United States, after 20 years, they all closed down. But guess what? Something really big happens in the 1907. The third biggest trust fund, it's called the Knickerbocker Trust Fund, went bankruptcy. And it's like a huge tsunami for economy world in the United States. Everybody want to go to the bank and withdraw their cash. And J.P. Morgan was the one that stand up in that time and calling on the bank, hey, that's all, take some of the money out, that's help them. And also in the other way, help us so people won't want to come to our bank and cash all the money out of our bank. So that's what they did. So JP Morgan is some sort of acting like a Fed in the 1907. So, okay, the problem has been solved. Everybody's happy. But in the 1913, December 23, that's when the Federal Reserve is officially built, because they realize, you know what, we can't have all the banks just print their own money, do their own things, and then anything happens, nobody backed them up, nobody watched them, So that's when they built the Fed, and they think it's needed to be built. So this Federal Reserve System is a system, not bank, which is funny because it's a system to help balance up all the banks and the market. So the main purpose is, when they build, is like to make sure the cost of living is stable and the employment rates are stable. That's the whole purpose.